Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another workshop from Pivot. So, we are here today for a workshop on topic which is gaining a lot of steam lately. Everybody's been talking about AI obviously since the last 2 years when OpenAI and ChatGPT created democratization of AI in everybody's lives. But today, one of the hottest topics that we have been seeing is how AI is rapidly advancing and impacting different career functions. And one of the most major functions in tech that it has been impacting is product management. There's a lot of talk around what a product manager can do with AI. Should AI be replacing a lot of the work that product management function exists today to undertake? And many other such notions that we will be talking about today. So we have two really exciting speakers with us. We have Ananya Vats from Google and Khanjan Desai from Booking.com. They are just backstage, so I will be bringing them up here. Just give me 1 second. All right. Hi, Ananya. Hi, Kanchan. Good to have you both. Hope you're doing
Hello.
well.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll just get started with a quick round of intros, if that's okay. I can go first. For those who don't know me, my name is Arjun, and I'm the founder of Pivot. What we do here at Pivot is pretty important, exciting, and straightforward, really. We help people make career transitions. What that means is anytime somebody is thinking about changing not just their job, but let's say some core element of their profile, could be their domain, their industry, their level in the organization, or something else like even your region, maybe starting something of your own after a 9 to 5 gig. These are all different inflection points where we specialize in helping people achieve their career goals. um, we'll talk more about it during the course of this conversation, but I'll turn it over to Khanjan first. Khanjan, welcome, and if you could just share a bit about your journey so far, and what do you do today?
Yeah, thank you, Arjun. Super excited to be here. So, yes, currently I'm a product manager at Booking.com and have been in the fintech team here. So, both on the customer and payment side. So, building exciting products and, yeah, doing a lot of different exciting stuff. I'm based out of Amsterdam right now. Prior to this, I was working from India at PayPal, again in the fintech pricing products. And I've also worked at Razorpay, which was a great 0 to 1 experience. I am an ISB alumni, and then I've also worked at Vodafone for a couple of years. So I think my passion, aside from the product management work that I do, is also in helping out people and sort of sharing whatever I've learned so far. So I'm an active coach at Pivot and several other platforms, and I really, I really find it very exciting that anything that I know and that I've learned, I can share it with others and make an impact. So super excited to be part of this session.
Brilliant. Great. So we will turn it over to Ananya. Ananya, welcome, and please go ahead and share a bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi everyone. Really excited to be here. I'm currently a product manager with Google Maps, where I look at how to grow the product in Indian market specifically. Prior to that, I worked in
Wait,
space,
Ananya, I think you're
and before
a little
Microsoft,
choppy.
where I was actually
Can
working on AI.
you hear us? Your network's breaking out a little bit.
Oh,
Ca-
let
Can you hear me?
me just check. Is it better now? I can.
Yes, yes, it's better. Please go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I've also worked on AI product at Microsoft. Before AI was cool, actually. So that was one of my first product jobs, and I did my BTech in computer science. Thought like this is not what I want to do. Went for an MBA. Landed up in product management quite out of accident. And yeah, now it's been what 5.5, 6 years, and I really love the role. I have been mentor on TopMate for around 2 years. I've been taking sessions. As Khanjan said, I love to kind of just connect with people from all different areas, either in product management or wanting to get into. and just help them or share my journey as much as I can. I'm also the chapter lead for Bangalore of Women in Product. And I also am a part of other communities like Grace Hopper. Essentially, I love to meet people in the same area. That just makes, I think, my work more fun. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Ananya. Really good to have you both here. And I think, it's an exciting topic for today. There's a lot of chatter around like what AI can or cannot really do in different functions, and product management being one of the most premium and in demand functions over the last decade. I think there has definitely been a lot of queries that have come into us at Pivot, where people are asking not just about how AI is impacting product management, but more so how they should be looking to incorporate any technology that's out there, or any tool that's out there which can help them unlock greater impact and potential within their career and within their organization. Um, there is also a couple of these interesting new developments happening in different companies. Like, I talked about this in one of my posts recently. Airbnb, as a company, transition from having a core product management function to kind of dividing those responsibilities amongst other established functions like engineering, design, and marketing. And so there are these very unique developments which are not really happening with necessarily every other function, but specifically product management. So where I'm going with this, and what I really wanted to start off with, is by knowing, just in a broad based manner, what kind of impact is AI having on product management in terms of people's careers, right? So maybe, Kanjan, we can start off with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So, well, yeah, I mean, the case in point that you shared about Airbnb, I would say it is, in my experience, still an exception and not a norm. Because so far, what I've observed, and coming from fintech, it's a highly regulated, I would say, very niche discipline, even for product managers. So it's not an easy role, despite being a product manager in multiple fintechs. I would say it's still every day I have to learn a lot of new nuances, right from the country's regulations to understanding the different demographics, to what is the preference of I mean, what is the preference of a business versus what is the preference of a customer. So I would say that AI is still a helping assistant, not so much of a core tool that I use in a day to day. Primarily because of a lot of different confidentiality and regulations, as I mentioned, that prevail still in this industry. But if I speak from a purely e-com or like customer facing industry, maybe data is a bit more democratized. So I can divide my experience so far into helping, leveraging AI to help my product craft, or just in general my day-to-day product tasks, as well as the other bit is my fundamental product itself. So I would say that still I am finding AI helpful way more on the first part and not so much on the latter, where a lot of tribal knowledge, a lot of nuances and security and confidentiality clauses apply. So what I do is I try to use the best of the first part. Booking is a very AI centric company, so we do in fact have a lot of different vetted tools. And we, of course, were using OpenAI before, but I mean, you have to be careful with what data you're sharing, or in your own assistant life as well, like in your own assistance bit as well. What are you really using AI for? So yeah, we have like an internal AI, I would say, tools. I mean, modules where we can maybe get a sense check of, let's say, the 15 different customer calls we have been on, right? So we can get a sense of the tonality, the real essence of what the customer pain points could be. We could get a lot of our PRDs proofread. We could understand the technical jargons a bit more. So all the tech specs that exist, I could use AI to understand what exactly that means in a very simple language, because I feel product managers have to be this central people who have to make things simple for bunch of stakeholders and not just one particular client, right? So that's what I use it for. And then of course there's the one step ahead version where I might want to use AI to learn about new technologies in my own products, the payment trends. Learning about markets is a very useful I would say practice as well, because yeah, I've been in India, I've been working on US products, I've been now in Europe centric products. So AI helps me a lot to gain different senses and understanding of the prevailing regulations, which I should definitely incorporate in my product management. So, in a nutshell, yes, it helps me with my day to day. It helps me get a sense check of different feedback that I receive. It helps me understand the technicalities better, and it also helps me understand the market specific nuances better.
That's a good summary, Khanjan, and thanks for sharing it so in a structured way. I think what my takeaway is that AI has definitely given you a new tool to kind of open up different areas within product management function, that you can do in a better or more supported manner, but it's not replaced tasks that you do completely independently in the sense that it can take over. Ananya, I want your take on that, right? Like, that's one of the most important nuance that Khanjan's answers has brought out, which is where AI works as,
So,
like she said, sort of a co-pilot. Oh, Um, yeah, Ananya, can you hear me? Ananya, I think there might be some network issues. Maybe you can just
better
move
now?
to a better area. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
really
we can
sorry
hear
about
you. I
this.
think it's just lagging or something like that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Um, I'll just try to reconnect. Really sorry about this.
no worries, no worries. Kanjan, in the meantime, maybe what we can do is just get your take on this because
Yeah.
you've talked about it. Uh, Oh, Ananya, you might be back. Okay, sorry about that back and forth. Maybe you'll just go ahead with Ananya only. Ananya, go ahead. Main question is, can you describe the nuance between where AI is currently still functioning as just a co-pilot or an assistant, as opposed to seeing it take over as an agent or, doing specific workflows within the product management responsibilities?
Sure, sure. And I overall agree with what Khanjan said in AI being more of a assistant or thought partner to the product management role than something which will replace the role itself. But there are use cases which are being done better by AI, and they're not being replaced mostly because we still haven't figured out how to use it effectively. To be honest, like the increments and the improvements in AI has been tremendous. There was obviously a gap in the industry into how things were done, and especially like how information is kind of collected from different sources, processed and presented, and that's definitely done way faster by AI than probably a human. But having said that, there are obviously use cases with which needs human intervention. So if we look at product management specifically, and just looking at all the different things that we do, right? If you look at the product definition part of things like writing PRDs, yes, there is Chat PRD, which does a very good job at writing a first draft of the PRD, but obviously it does misses the historical context of the product. It misses the interconnectedness of the feature with the other products in the org. It also misses probably some of the other what do I say, tacit knowledge which is kind of available with the product manager in context of, okay, this is what my engineering can do, this is what the designers can do. So there's this creativity plus context which obviously is missing from a AI. Compare it to other things which is around the process of and I think Khanjan also mentioned, right, getting feedback from the users. We do not, like, we cannot make AI understand the subjective stories and bias with the stories that are being presented to us. So if I get a feedback from a user that women don't use, say, maps at night, it's not because they don't like maps, it's because they're probably not stepping out alone, right? No, that's just a insight which I have as a human, which would not be present to an AI unless it's specifically mentioned in an article. So that sort of bias is obviously there, and there I think it leads to you know us just having that human sense of how things work, also a bit of intuition which is not present. So the use cases where intuition is more needed is obviously needs human inputs and human intervention. However, there are steps to it which don't need intuition, which maybe needs collecting data from a source and presenting it in like a summary way, or maybe needs a quick competitor analysis just for making our case stronger. In that case, obviously AI is a great sort of friend. People are using it, even I am trying to use it wherever possible, but I think the adoption is pretty slow, mostly because we don't understand how it could actually replace a human input in a certain use case. But the third aspect of product management, apart from the process and the product ideation, is the most important, which is collaboration. And maybe the reason Airbnb eliminated the product management role was they actually added those bits of collaboration and all the other adjacent roles surrounding it. So any role, be it product management or something else, which gets probably reduced in scope or transformed by AI, would have the collaboration aspect alive, because just the knowledge that this person is reachable over chat versus email, or maybe this person needs to be looped in or this not, is a understanding that product managers, project managers build over time, and it's not written in a doc. It's not something which is a static piece of information. So would it replace? The answer is no. Would it change? It's a huge yes. But I think we all are just seeing how the change kind of comes into picture. Till then, I think I'm pretty excited to explore different use cases and to use it as probably like an assistant I have with me in my role.
Got it. I think that clarifies a lot of things in terms of, what the potential also is, not just today, but in the near future. It seems like it will continue to enhance the quality of work, perhaps save a lot of time in certain areas where you don't have to do things from scratch, but it's not necessarily taking components of the product management job and kind of doing it end to end where it doesn't need any oversight. That's interesting. I feel like I've heard both sides of the aisles when I talk to others or when I, see some of the other podcasts or videos that are coming out, especially from Silicon Valley today, where there's so much focus on AI agents, kind of really replacing specific components of people's jobs. So I think the next thing which really excites a lot of people today in product management, whether is when they can use AI to actually create a better impact in their work, right? A lot of people are not just using it to save time, which is the most common use case, but also thinking about, like you said, using it as a thinking partner or as a brainstorming buddy, whatever you want to call it, um, where you're not just restricted to your own knowledge base anymore. You have this vast encyclopedia in a very structured way, rather than just having a search engine. It's giving you much more pointed information in just one stop. So can we talk about, like, firstly, should all product managers be now using AI because of this vast potential of AI, or are there specific types of product managers that you think have a better, potential of using it and making greater impact with it? Like, how should different types of PMs think about using AI? Kanjan, we'll start again with you if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. This is a very thought-provoking question, so pardon me if I miss out certain things. But first thing we need to do is define impact, and that itself will differ for different types of PMs as well as product managers at different levels. So, for example, a beginner level PM at a startup which is growing super fast in a very experiment heavy B2C sort of facing industry. It could be e-com, it could be food tech, it could be Google itself, right? They would have very different definitions of impact as opposed to someone like me who's at a more mature level, and I'm dealing with complex platform products which have very high legacy sort of technical architecture around it, and it's very I would say regulation heavy product. So for me, impact could be something else. So first thing is that depending on the level or the maturity of your product or the industry type and the customer segment type of your product, impact will be different. If I take examples, impact could be increasing your market presence or just achieving product market fit for a beginner level growing product, or it could be retaining customers, engaging your users, increasing the repeat rates, right, for e-commerce products or for scaled sort of platforms which are consumer facing. Or it could be impact, which for me impact would be ensuring that the right payments and the right payouts happen to from the customers and to the partners, and which is very different because my impact is non-negotiable. I have to make sure that the success rates, the auth rates, and the payouts, the monetary value of the payouts is accurate, else we are liable to fix that. So, depending on the impact and depending on the level, the type of industry, and the type of product problems that the product managers are solving, AI could have different levels of participation in your life. So, and how to leverage AI to make greater impact is going to be answered by that. But if I have to give still an answer which can be sort of safely applied to all types of different PMs to make an impact, I would say it is in organizing your data. So it could be data of, let's say, secondary research that you do for benchmarking your competitors. I think that's where AI is super helpful, because not every team and not every PM has the liberty and luxury of having a research team at your disposal or yourself involving in a lot of research, because you don't have that much time or resources, or you don't know the right channels to do the research, and you're at the end of the day, you're supposed to do customer research, but you're not an expert researcher. So, keeping all those considerations in mind, I feel that for all levels and for all kinds of PMs to make a better impact, you need to understand the problem and your customer and your market better. And that's where benchmarking, market benchmarking, competitor benchmarking, that's where AI would be your number one companion, or rather, it can actually replace your job of researching. But as Ananya mentioned, you need to have the intuition applied there. So, of course, there's a level of monitoring that's required, but still it can do a lot of legwork for you. Second bit that I see is organizing this data itself. So once you have the data from your secondary research, primary research, even, you can organize that data in a lot better way by feeding in data sets. Complex sort of algorithms and complex macros could be simplified, because again, not every PM is an expert in analysis. They should hone their skills, but I know the reality is that not every PM is an expert and not every PM has the time. And again, not a product analyst team at their disposal. So that's the second bit. And then the third bit of making an impact is to actually prioritizing. So prioritizing, I mean, yeah, there are so many PMs that I see, me included, where growth is impacted, or your own personal growth or professional growth plus the impact of your product is determined on your ruthless prioritization skills, because you have to continuously be at the receiving end of different requests, opposing priorities, conflict, whatnot. So that's where you could leverage AI to actually feed in all the data, all the different KPIs that you really care about, and the status of your product in the market and in the geography that you're located in. And then you could take help in prioritizing certain things, because AI would not have the biases you have. But at the same time, AI would still not have the context that you have. Maybe you know that stakeholder number A is definitely prevailing in company related priorities than stakeholder number C. So AI could tell you otherwise, but then you could apply your human judgment. But that's where also bias less prioritization is where I see AI also helpful. So yeah, I'll leave some points as well for Ananya to share. I'm really curious on her take, but this is so far my take on how we can create more impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Ananya, please feel free to share your thoughts on the same.
Yes, yes. So, not everyone needs AI to increase their impact as of now. That is what I believe. We can still function very well, especially in roles where it's not needed. Like basically, a AI product manager who is working on AI use cases for their features definitely needs to know, and not just in your day-to-day work, but also the application and the different use cases, right? But apart from them, the rest of the PMs might choose not to, but it would basically be an advantage that they are missing out on. And a very fun anecdote that I remember is Socrates saying, printing press is the most useless invention. Writing is something which is really bad because it hampers with the critical thinking. And people should talk to each other more, have more debates, but not write things down. And this was obviously when writing was just invented, right? And 2000 years later, here we are. We can't imagine a world without written word and books, right? As a reader, I know it's a very big comparison, but I feel AI is just having the bunch of books at your disposal and being in a society which is well read. And if you choose not to read, you can still survive, but you would not be able to probably perform as well as someone else who has read all the books. Artificial intelligence collates information at a rate which is humanly impossible. So, if you ask the right questions, you would be able to get the answers, especially when it's about knowing something about a particular product, a particular feature. And I think Khanjan has mentioned this, but the biggest use case that I see right now, also the easiest use case for any product manager, is to use the information that's out there in the world and make whatever documents, pitches, cases they are making way more comprehensive. So it's something as simple as, tell me 10 ideas about how this features, and I'm just easing down the prompt, but how this feature would look down 5 years down the line. Now, you might have not even thought of that. It's because the information sources are so comprehensive, so vast, so all over the place that it's very hard for us to manually find those and develop those ideas. But once we have it on the paper, obviously we can refine it. So, for both competitive analysis, research, building your case, even the initial ideation, I think AI is a great, great resource. I'm a writer also, and I use AI to actually sometimes create the first draft. It takes me a lot of iterations. Most of it is actually rewritten, but what it helps me with is to come up with points and perspectives which I might have not thought if I did everything by myself. So I think it's a definitely a very important sort of component and a help that's available to us. So people should be a little bit more open to embracing the idea if they're not already. In terms of do you want to have AI in your feature, it depends. The answer is not always yes. In fact, the answer is mostly not yes.
Very comprehensively answered, Ananya. Thanks for sharing that. I think the analogy that you first gave with regard to Socrates, kind of talking about how writing can impact your cognitive capabilities. I was trying to recall there was a very recent study done, one of the more legit ones and popularized in recent media as well, which talked about the impact of using AI every day on your cognitive capabilities. And it did show a negative correlation, meaning the more use of AI leads to lesser cognitive capabilities. Obviously, I'm sure there are other studies that are disproving that, but I think that's something that probably goes beyond just product management into almost every aspect of our life and work, and kind of debatable at this stage, but something people are keeping an eye on for sure. I think the lot of things that you have talked about point towards the direction that even though you may not be necessarily needing AI today, it can definitely unlock greater impact if you do use it. And perhaps in the future, or maybe in the near future, it's possible that because let's say the top PMs or the most productive PMs are going to be using more and more AI, so to compete better with other PMs and other companies, you might have to just up your game, and you probably would not be able to do that just on your own. So you might have to use AI because of those competitive standards set. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the segueing to the next topic here, one of the most common queries we get at Pivot with regard to AI today is, how do I learn more in an effective manner? There's just a bombardment of courses, videos, podcasts like these, so many different channels that people can utilize today to kind of grow their knowledge and their skill set within this area. Now, I think everybody has different type of learning styles, and perhaps not everybody needs to learn even the same things. As a product manager, you might need to learn different things. But if you could somehow help us understand, how do you actually think about upskilling yourself in AI, and how would you tell others who are thinking about learning how to implement AI within their product management work? How should they think about learning more about AI? Khanjan, again, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So you did give a precursor context, Arjun, already, that it really depends on what is the need of what is the need of the hour for you. But I look at it from a funnel perspective. So for me, the first funnel is the most basic, queries or the most basic questions on publicly available data, research reports, or yeah, if you're, let's say, if you want to assess your competitors, some of them might be listed, so they already have a lot of open press release, revenue reports, and other content available. There are news articles, right? So all these data, to just assess them and to just analyze them, your basic open AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity. Now we have, of course, DeepSeek. All these could be very handy. So you don't really need to do courses to learn how to do this. It's pretty much just querying the right thing and just trying to warm up your querying skills a bit more, saying that, okay, if you find something too generic, you have to be having that cognizance to understand that it is generic and it should not sound idiotic, it should not sound mechanical. So you have to give more and more prompts. For those, I don't think you need a lot of courses and a lot of knowledge to do that. Anybody can do it. And that itself will help out a lot in doing a lot of research and organization. However, a little more mature, I would say, application of AI, if you're already a product manager, would be in actually, playing with your own data set, playing with your hypotheses. If you're into experimentation, then what should be the experiment cohorts, what should be the attributes of testing for you. You can play with different design AI tools to really come up with your own prototypes, because again, not all PMs would have product design teams, maybe some consulting help from some other teams, but like I've been into heavy platform product management, so I don't really have necessarily very jazzy products. So sometimes I get into the design myself. So I could use AI design tools to really help out. So for example, the existing design tools, Figma and Miro, they themselves have their own AI versions now. So it could be basically a classification into the querying AI tools slash organization for really heavy and mature data sets where you might need to learn some mature way of using those tools and exactly identify what is working out for you. And the third is using the existing product, I would say, friendly tools which have their own AI versions. That could be the third one. And then I am a very technical person, so I like to go a bit beyond, and I like to get into the fabric of how the algorithm is going to function if I want to apply AI to some product feature. So that's then taking it a bit, taking it a notch further, where you have to really understand, okay, where do I want to apply AI? For example, it could be to build a rating model for, let's say, your client base, right? Your customer base. You want to build a rating model to then incentivize them, or to build subscription and loyalty models. There you have to actually work on understanding what is the architecture of this algorithm, how is it going to flow, how is it going to be trained, what repositories and libraries you need to apply. So are you leveraging certain languages such as Python, or are you really sticking to the conventional languages? What kind of access would you need? What kind of permissions would the data need? And what would be a good I would say tenure, or what would be a good data set to program your algorithm on. So that's where the tools will really be there. You might need an additional training, but I personally feel that PMs are not the ones actually executing all these things. So you're more of a collaboration, I would say, initiator with your AI teams or your data science teams to work on these. So there, some courses, some training could help you, and that's where I usually go to the AI centric companies. Like Nvidia has its own course, Microsoft has its own course, Google has its own course. So I try to tend to these kind of best in class organizations which have actually a lot of free and credible content on training you to really learn to play with AI on your products itself. So that's how I look at this entire funnel. And yeah, that's pretty much how I would advise anybody to start your journey.
I think that's great. Ananya, we'll just take up the same question with you. But before I do that, I just wanted to let the audience know that, folks, thanks firstly for joining today on Saturday evening. We want to make sure that you get an opportunity to ask Khanjan and Ananya your questions. So please make sure to share it in chat with us. We'll be covering just this one answer with Ananya, and then we will start taking up questions from you all. So look forward to seeing more questions from you. Ananya, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Really, I would say interesting to see your journey. And I haven't really explored the tech part of it yet. So I think which brings back to my point that how to upskill in AI depends a lot on the goals that we would have and the use cases we would have. So I think it would be a really good exercise. It's a huge world which where you can get lost easily, which is also I think recommended. I have done that myself. I have played with prompts and just done all sorts of like basically put prompts just to get information which is not related to my work at all. And it's easy to get lost in that world, but obviously not recommended often. So I think just clarifying, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is where I would want AI's help beforehand is a great way to get started. And the one of the best ways to upskill is to actually try out the different products, see which matches your use case in terms of the response quality, but more importantly, more than the platforms itself, make sure the prompts that people are sharing are good enough. And there are free courses on prompt engineering available, which are a great sort of startup pack to how to even write better prompts. And trust me, I have seen it myself. Just changing the question leads to way better and way different answers with the same sort of problem statement in mind. In terms of the platforms, I use Gemini the most, mostly because since it's an in-house AI, we're able to like upload the documents and just get a much more better prompt, to put it like simply. And because my prompt is better, the response would be much more sort of useful and comprehensive. But I really believe in trying out different. A lot of it is available to us for free. Yeah. So I think in that sense, my advice would be to play around, try different things, but also improving the prompt itself and identifying the use cases before even thinking about, okay, this is something I really want to upskill and learn. Plus one to Kanjan's point on actually looking at more credible sources. And one of the good ways to do that is to actually click at any of the AI source, like course that you see, and then look at where it's inspired from. So once you go deep enough, you'll actually find the root. I won't say the earlier ones were better in this case because tech is changing at a very fast pace. So it's not like the oldest is the most credible, but usually the credible sources are mentioned in the inspired by a section of the other courses. So you'll actually get to the root. Okay, this is something I can trust. Taking a lot of courses does not necessarily mean better, but using it more would lead you to be a better AI practitioner, or what do I say, AI partner.
Great. So I think we at this point we can start taking up some of the questions that we are getting from our audience here. And I think some of this might have been covered previously, but I think there are some new ones as well. So I'll take up one of the slightly newer question, which we have not discussed in detail so far. This one is from Tejas Sansare. And Tejas's question is that he's currently a PM at JP Morgan with 4 years experience. Can you tell more about how he can transition into an AI product management role? There's so much content out there, and I'm curious to know what exactly it matters to get into these roles without prior experience. Um, I think it's a fascinating question. There's a lot of, like we discussed, there are a lot of different tools, frameworks, content out there that people can, look into. So, and you've touched up briefly upon this, but specifically in the context of AI product management role, right, where people are thinking about transitioning to building more AI focused products. So it's not just about leveraging AI within your day to day work, but more importantly, building AI powered products. How do we contextualize our answer with regard to upskilling, with regard to doing anything else which can help Tejas and others like him transition into AI product management? Um, Either of you, whoever wants to take this up, I'm happy to go ahead with that. Just feel
Yes.
free to start talking if you want to. Yeah.
I just want to point out one very interesting thing about the question, which is without prior experience. And I think that's not true because even an AI product manager is someone with a lot of domain knowledge. So if you have 4 years of product experience, that is the experience you carry. You need not be working with AI to actually call it like an experience. So one of the strengths product managers or even humans bring to the table in this is the context and the domain expertise and the historical things that we know about a particular space. So definitely you are already starting from a platform and not from scratch. And in terms of how can you transition, I think just understanding the basics first. Okay, how does say a generative AI platform works? What are the other use cases of AI? How it's a tool and not a means, like it's a means to an end and not the end itself. And all the sort of innovations that is happening in the world, just having that basics knowledge about the use cases and how it operates is definitely important. But the second thing is proof of work and proof of knowledge. So making sure either through a product portfolio or maybe some sort of experience that okay, this is what I've tried and this is what I've created is actually really helpful. Because there's no it's not like a MBA degree that you can just go and take a AI product like sometimes it does help as a proof of knowledge, but still I think what is really important here, because it's a pretty new piece of tech where everyone is kind of struggling to learn, what matters is how your basics are clear and how you can use it. And if you apply to a domain similar to what you have been working on, you actually have a pretty good chance. I learned almost all of my AI on work, on job. So in terms of, just finding times after the work is over on weekdays to probably spend a couple of hours just trying things out, learning things on the go. It obviously takes its own time, but it's not something that is like a subject to be mastered before getting into the job. That's my take. But Khanjan, curious to see your views on that.
Yeah, no, I think I pretty much echo with everything you said. So not much to add, but yeah, like what does AI product manager role mean for you, Tejas, in this context? Because there are like proper deep AI heavy PMs who are working on actual AI algorithms. And while that does I mean, yeah, of course, Ananya's point that you will bring some context on your own products prior to joining that, but still there might be an expectation and requirement of you being very in depth with the ML and data science technology, generative AI models, how it works, some experience on actually experimenting and rolling out maybe small proof of works, as she mentioned, right? So I think I'm not really sure if you mean that kind of an AI product manager role, because that would require for you to either upskill or have some experience of proving that you can work with that level of, I would say, depth that's required in generative AI roles. But if you mean that you yourself just want to be using AI, as we all mentioned, in your existing product management domains, and you want to outshine just basis your knowledge and your ability to drive impact using AI, then that's, I think those things we have already covered in the previous question. So it really depends on what your essence is. But yeah, Ananya covered a great framework on how you can, I think, start with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have covered both sides of it. Thanks for covering that comprehensively, Ananya and Khanjan. We have a couple of other questions here, so I'll take this one up. I'll just read it out. You might be able to see it in chat because it's a slightly longish question, so it will cover all of our faces if I bring it up. Um, this one's from Shubham, and he has 5 year work ex as software developer. Recently did his MBA and transitioning into product management role now. And so his question is with regard to upskilling in AI specifically, and asking like, what is your opinion on traditional courses like Andrew Ng's Stanford lecture series? That's part one of the question. And the second part is understanding any B2B platform product use cases where AI experience will come in handy. So, specifically, I mean, I think that's a pretty broad question. I would say there's a lot of different use cases for AI and B2B, especially today. So, yeah, I think maybe if we can divide it into those two parts, first related to upskilling, what do you both think about the more traditional and very easily available courses out there in AI? Should people still be taking those because they have been there for quite some time? I know this was one of the first ones, and he's the founder of Coursera, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Kanjan, seems like you're nodding harder than Ananya, so I'll take you up on this one first.
Yeah, I just am nodding because Shubham is an ex PayPal. I'm also an ex PayPal person. So I think, hi, Shubham, nice to meet you. I understand where you're coming from. That's why I was nodding so hard. But I want to say that, yeah, I mean, given the fact that some courses or some lectures are a bit foundational in nature, and yeah, they could be dated as of now, so it's not the only course probably that you should rely on. But I personally have attended, I mean, I've taken a lot of courses from Andrew Ng, and I love the way he explains certain concepts very simply and very, I would say, fundamentally. So why not? You can take any course that, as Ananya mentioned, that is credible and that has some inspiration to another model or another, I would say, structure or framework that you find relevant for your current products or for your aspirations, right? So there's no one shoe fits all answer for this. Honestly, yeah, we might not even have done so much research on courses as much as you would have done because you have raised this question. But my answer to you would be that it should be very, I would say, fundamentally strong. So your concepts should be fundamentally strong and go to the basics, right? What is, I mean, AI ML, I just hate these words being thrown everywhere. So you really need to understand to the crux of it. You are a developer, so it would be a lot more easier for you than maybe me. But you will be able to understand the crux of the models and where exactly is this stemming from, what are the applications. For example, uh, I'll also touch on the second part a bit here, that there are very specific use cases and there are very specific models in Python toolkit itself, which are dedicated for certain product domains, right? So there are languages. For example, Ruby is a wonderful language for fintech related programming because it has libraries and repositories which really enhance the fintech logic. But on the other hand, there could be some other like languages or some other repositories which are more helpful, like fraud detection could be better by some anomaly detection, I would say, logics, right, or algos. So it really depends on what kind of domains and industries do you aspire to join. If you've been at PayPal, do you want to be in fintech? If yes, in fintech, there are very specific nuances for products, such as one could be into improving the integration, so API integration. So where can AI help with that? There could be like improving the product experience itself. So right from taking in the PSP information to credit card information, storing it securely, passing it down to the acquirers and issuers, having a good response rates from the banks, and making sure that the payments that are happening are well informed and well, and they're accurate, and then there are good reporting structures. So everywhere AI could help, and that's where the more mature and the more domain specific courses would help you. But always start with the basics, and then go as you discover different domains. As Ananya mentioned, she has learned most of it on the job. Same for me. I joined my company long back, so AI was non-existent, so I always learned it on the job. And then sometimes it'll be more like necessity is a mother of invention. So sometimes you'll be forced to learn certain things, which is what I foresee AI to do with most of us. So that's my take. But Ananya, curious to know your take on this.
Yeah. Hi,
Ananya, sorry, just in the interest of time, if you could keep your answer brief and we'll take up the next one quickly, if that's okay.
sure, sure. So, fun fact, I took Andrew Ng's course, the same Stanford lecture, and that was the first course I failed. So I used to think Coursera is like super easy and all the courses and everything. I used to actually watch them at 2x speed, but yes, so that just brought me back. Okay, I need to pay more attention. In terms of how you pick, I think don't consider time as a limited resource here. It's a lifelong process, so it's more of a prioritization problem than either or. Like you can always take more courses. Just figure out what is most applicable for your use case. Obviously, these are slightly dated, but then these are also fundamental machine learning courses, which is like generative AI is just a small application of it. So figure out if you need to really focus on generative AI or you need to go back and whatever is more prioritized, just do that first and then follow up with others. In terms of the platform use cases, I think Kanjan mainly covered all of the, especially from a fintech point of view. I would just say ask the question, is AI needed in this case or not? And most likely you'll get an answer. If you don't get an answer, ask ChatGPT. So basically, for example, if I'm designing places, POI experience for Google Maps, I don't need a AI. Like I need a lot of design inputs. I might use it to improve my or increase my process. I don't need like AI integrated into how a place would look or the information that would be surfaced and all. Like at the very fundamental feature level, AI is not needed in this. So just having that understanding for every feature and everything, just ask yourself one more question: is AI needed? Like you would do for privacy and security, is a great way to understand if it's applicable or not, or what are the different use cases. Obviously, we discussed about research and information gathering, and all those things are applicable across B2C, B2B. But very specific for your features and product, this would be a good self check to do. So, yeah, I'll keep my answer short.
Great, thank you. We'll take up the next one. Now we have a barrage of questions coming up here. So I'll take Shrikars, which is this is an interesting one. I think it may have been touched upon here and there. I think both of you have talked about many different use cases, but his question is around, sharing an anecdote where you used AI to solve or improve any particular user problem. Again, I think you have touched upon this, both of you, in different ways. But I think the part that I would like to learn more about when you are utilizing AI is not just how you use AI, but also how you actually socialized that with the other stakeholders, like whatever your use case was, or kind of suggestions, recommendations were. How did the other team members get involved, whether it was PMs or other decision makers within the team that you had to work with on this particular problems? So maybe we can have Ananya, you take this one up first.
Sure. So AI is useful in some particular, I would say, primary use cases. I know we have been talking about this again and again, but just collating information and kind of summarizing it well is one of the strongest suits. So at Google Maps, people give reviews of places, and they write a bunch of qualitative descriptors about the review. This place is well lit, this place is great, the food is amazing. And when a person say opens up a restaurant, they go through the reviews just to get a sense of the place, but often they are not able to kind of go through all of them, right? So we recently launched a feature which is AI generated summaries, which is taking all the user reviews of a place and collating them into a nice small one paragraph. So anyone who is short on time, which is all of us, can actually read that AI generated summary and can make a decision whether they want to visit or recommend or whatever they have opened that place for. So that is the latest AI use case or feature that I could think of. But yes, I've had many other smaller features during my career. The important thing is, and in terms of convincing the stakeholders, is can you clarify the value prop very clearly and also test it out, like before really launching out the feature to the world. Actually test, see the time saved, see the accuracy. One of the important factors in AI, and I think it's getting improved as we are moving forward, is reliability. Like it should not say things which no user has said, right? In terms of reviews, it should not put offensive content. If although we don't have user generated offensive content out there, but in case some user has written that out of context, that should not surface in the summary. So all those considerations and all those testing is important, especially I feel in tech world. The more you experiment, the more tests and checks you do, the trust is built before actually launching the product out to the world. So just making clear on the value prop and test it out, experiment a lot before actually launch would be my recommendation.
Okay, great. Khanjan, would you like to share any experience as well?
Yeah, sure. We are almost on time. So I'll quickly share like very high level user touch points, especially in payments. It could be on a travel company like Booking, or it could be an actual payment gateway company like PayPal, or Razorpay, where we have like businesses who come and who have their own app and who have their own neo banking experience, right? So it's right from offering personalization as well as secure not perception, but actually a secure way to store your financial information, which is the biggest, I would say, biggest risk right now, because literally there are not, AI is not just being used for ethical purposes, it's also being used for hacking and scams and all the kind of misuse of data that can happen. So as a PM, we are leveraging AI to really help ranking and help personalization experiences for your preferred payment methods depending on the region you're in. So yeah, if you're in India, for example, you will be suggested to use UPI, whereas if you're in Europe, if you're in the Netherlands, you'll be suggested to use Ideal versus PayPal in Germany, so on and so forth, right? So that could be one very interesting use case of AI. The other one could be actually the improvement of success rates on the back end. So this is very technical, so I'll not get into the details, but yeah, it could be used to really identify the best response times for different types of endpoints, and the one that has the least latency. AI could help toggle between the different API calls. So that is very fundamental to especially fintech industry, because success rates are very important as a metric for us. And then the third could be in payout disburse, basically identifying payout issues, right? So the customers or the merchants or businesses that we have, they could just simply say, I did not receive my payment. But what is exactly the issue? Identifying that on the backstage, on the back end, is something that AI could also help out a lot. So I'll keep it very crisp at that.
Okay, all right, perfect. We are going to wrap it up with just one rapid fire question. There is one more audience question. I'll make it very brief. So, in this, the rapid fire question is: what three tangible skills should an aspiring PM target to create a moat for themselves? So, what three skills would you recommend to people who are, becoming new product managers or growing early in their careers? They should take up to create moat for themselves. Ananya, we will go ahead with you first.
Sure. First is empathy. I think it's really important for product managers to be empathetic. Second is critical thinking in terms of given a problem statement, what are the different ways and different things that the problem can be solved. And third is kind of toning it back to empathy, people skills. People who can communicate well with others would succeed. And as we're talking about AI, that is something AI can't do. So AI can probably do half of the second one, but the first and third are very human skills, which I see also thriving in a future.
Perfect. Kanjan?
Cool. Yeah, I think Ananya stole a couple of mine, but I would say, yeah, being the voice of customer. So you are the probably the one person who has to be the advocate for customer. You have to fight for their problems. You have to really understand what their problems are. Second would be acting as one team. So this is again both a combination of people skills and a lot of stakeholder management, because you have to make everybody understand that it's not just your team's KPI or your personal KPI that is at stake, it is the larger vision. And the third would be develop sort of a curiosity both in yourself and in your team to really understand why you're doing something. Why is that user story on your Jira board at the top priority, and why not the others, right? So really understanding the core objective of or being curious about what problem and so are you solving and why is that important.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that was fabulous. We covered a lot in today's session, and glad that we recorded it. People will be able to view it in their own time as well. So just want to close it with a big round of thank you to firstly Kanjan and Ananya. Thank you so much for joining and sharing all your experiences and insights. I think it was wonderful how open and forthcoming you both were with all of these different questions. And also, thank you to everybody who joined us on Saturday evening. I think shows that you're really committed to your growth and development. I hope you were able to take some good insights that you can apply in your career. I would also suggest checking out Pivot at mypivot.work in case you're looking to connect with folks like Khanjan and Ananya. We have a lot of good product management experts who are also, thinking about how to utilize AI within their field of work. So definitely check it out and see if you can find find someone relevant to your goals. Yeah, with that, we are coming to a close for today. Thank you again, everybody, for joining in.
Thank
And I
you
hope you
everybody,
have a
and
good.
thank you Arjun, thank you Ananya. I learned a lot, so it was, yeah, good use of my Saturday afternoon right now. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you, everyone. It was a great session.
Thank you. Have a